you guys see that guy, on the stage at Gamescom?
The Bill Clinton
Oh man,
legacy lives on. This is
this is annoying now, don't you think? Like,
yeah,
what
I
a
don't like
dick.
it now. I don't think it's good now.
I never liked it to begin with.
Sure. But at the same time, this one just felt especially annoying because it just like,
Yes.
what's up, the GTA 6? You f***ing idiot. Jeff was so mad as well. Jeff was so mad. You could tell he was
Jeff was like
pissed.
the most disappointed dad energy. Like,
He
it was,
wasn't he? He was
It was
disappointed.
really perfect.
If there was a hole in the middle of that arena, he would have Spartan kicked the shit out of those guys
Yeah, he could have.
to get them off stage faster than they cut to that master wide and you just saw 8 dudes rush the stage as Jeff was trying his best. Poor guy. That just sucks.
Can we talk about somebody though that keeps composure? Like he's got a very
he's doing his best, man. He's doing his best.
Maintained. I was worried though. I was almost like, he can just get murdered up there. Like what the hell?
Well, yeah, man. Touch wood. Those are scary thoughts. But yeah, man, I was thinking the same thing. Like, geez, it's just like
they need better security.
They need better security at these events, man. They really do.
Well,
they really do.
LA Live / the Microsoft Theater / whatever it's called now, because it's not the Microsoft Theater anymore. They just changed names a couple of weeks ago. They did security at the Game Awards, so they had definitely had people.
It worked.
With wands
I tried to
and
go
stuff.
up. It didn't. Yeah.
What did you try and bring in, Jake? What did they deny you?
I wanted to say bring back Prey 2, the original Prey sequel.
You
just
mean
wanted
the
to get
original
on
one from
stage.
Human Heads? But they crash tackled you before you get to the front.
they're
It's a damn
"Get
shame,
this
man. It's not
trash
fair.
out of here.
Did I ever tell you guys that you guys didn't? None of you guys. I would have known. You guys didn't go to the Game Awards concert in LA, did you?
No, I really wanted to,
No,
but it was
looked
like
good,
I
though.
can't fly from Australia just to do that. I would have loved to have, though.
So Jeff gave my boy Jesse Cox a box, and so we all got to go with him in his little box seating. And one of the fun, it was so cool because half of the arena separated by all the fans who love the music and stuff, and the other half is industry folks, like Danny Pena and the GameSpot crew, all that stuff. But the funniest part about it was Crash Bandicoot was there in his big old outfit, and he just walked around. He walked around getting people stoked for Crash Team All-Stars Brawl, whatever that game is.
Right,
and then I wish I took video of it. I don't know why I didn't. I think it was online. He was just stoically, you could see him in his big dumb outfit, just staring and watching the concert. It was so funny. Just
that's so good.
big
moved
Crash
by it,
Bandicoot. He was very moved by it.
That's it, exactly. When those strings kick in Final Fantasy, it's like you can't help it. Eyes on me, baby. Eyes on me.
Crash Bandicoot weeping over Xanarkin.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, hey everybody, welcome to Friends Per Second. This is a podcast, a bi-weekly, fortnightly podcast where a bunch of people gather to talk about video games, new stuff, old stuff. And yeah, I'm Jake Baldino. I haven't hosted in a while. I'm a little rusty, but this is episode 28.
8?
Yes. Pardon my dust, my setup. I'm slowly still moving, and it's going to sound better and look better soon. But thank you for bearing with me. I'm also joined, of course, by Gerard the Completionist. What's up, dude?
Hello, everyone. How's it going? I'm excited to talk about games. We're down to Lucy today, but
We are.
It's only boys now. Only boys now.
The boys, that's it.
Boy, it's the top lads.
The lads.
Ralph is also here. Ralph, aka Scale Up. Speaking of boys.
We were joking, Jake, earlier that your setup looks like those pictures that get top ratings, or top post on /R Gaming, which is rate my setup, and it's just a fold-out chair and a CRT TV on the floor with Bloodborne on the screen, and everyone's like, "Yeah, man, that rules. That's all you need." That's what you got going right now.
A TV, a chair, and an empty old piece of furniture. Oh.
Yeah, I love how it's still empty. There's just nothing in there. It's just, what will it eventually contain, Jake? Tell me. What is
I have one thing here. You know what this is.
I have
What
that.
this is.
Yeah, I know exactly what that is. That is the Death Stranding collector's edition case thing with the BB in it.
My baby
great.
is ready in here. I'm
Is
holding
is
up the
BB in it?
suitcase with
Can you show us?
He's
BB
in it.
is in
He's
it.
waiting.
Show
Yeah,
us. You have to see this. Yeah, I don't know if anyone hasn't seen this.
Let me tell you about revealing this to your significant other when you think
Yes!
it's a pelican case with important equipment in it.
Yes.
And I said, "Oh, it's really important equipment. Here, let me show you." And it's just a gross baby. I mean, a nice baby, a helpful baby, but in a jar.
Gross. Oh, I love that we actually that was the collector's edition item. That's one of the best collector's edition statue things that I've ever seen. So that is a podcast episode right there, actually, going through all of the weird shit that we've got. But then Gerard would win that episode because he has like an entire office. Gerard has got you haven't opened it yet, have you?
Hey guys, welcome to my unboxing channel.
Yeah,
I got a baby
right.
too.
Where I'm just gonna unbox this. This has been
Gerard
sitting
is
brand
holding up
new
his giant
in my house for
Sam
months.
Bridges box.
Yes. It is. We're saying, Gerard, we need to have like an episode based on weird collectible shit, and you would win that episode because you have an entire office stuffed full of that stuff. It's just that's all you got.
Works, yeah.
This one's just in my house too. I forgot I had this, but when I saw the case, I was like, I have that, I think. This
Baby
box
belongs
is huge.
in the house.
It's huge.
It is huge. It is very big, and it has like what's that tape they put up on crime scenes? What's it called?
Like the do
Death
not.
Stranding tape.
Death Stranding tape. That's what they call it at a crime scene. They're like,
on the
someone's
tape,
been
it says,
murdered,
"Caution,
and then the
the
cops like,
rain
not again.
ages you."
Has anyone got some Death Stranding tape?
Some strand type tape.
A strand like tape.
Man. So we started the episode talking about the Gamescom debacle. Gamescom opening night live was the first big live stream event kicking off Gamescom, the big game convention in Germany, where Jeff Keighley does some new announcements and stuff like that, and some Joker rushed the stage. But good presentation all around. He set the mood. He said, "Hey, this isn't crazy. It's updates on existing games." And for me, the one highlight was just one right off the top of my head was Black Myth Wukong. Nice to see that game is still out there. Sure. Visually, it still looks really cool. We got a lot more like presentation stuff. It looks crazy. I'm like, is the monkey hot? Am I allowed to say that? That's like a new realization.
He's hot adjacent, at least. I think you're allowed to say that because I think he's human enough where it's okay and it's not weird.
I think, Jake, you can say whatever. I've learned on the internet, you can say whatever you want as long as it's from your chest. If you say it
That's right.
as a declarative statement, try it on for size. You think the monkey is hot. Go.
Monkey's hot. The monkey's hot. I'm trying to say it from my chest. Is that good?
We'll work on it, but you're getting there. You're getting there. Yeah.
Gerard, what about you? I know they announced Little Nightmares 3. What was
Little
your first
Nightmares
reaction?
3. So excited.
So wait, just tell me the other, because I actually haven't played 1 or 2, right? And I know that they're meant to be very good. Like I think I played like booted them up and never properly played. Like why do people love these games so much? Like give me the elevator pitch.
I think it's like platformer atmospheric horror. It's like not everything's trying to kill you, but it's very beautiful in its presentation in that way.
Right.
It's very artful. The first game takes place on a ship. You're like on this ship, and it's just kind of like like you just see a lot of gross imagery. Like I guess this is a bad comparison, but I think you get the idea. Imagine if Tim Burton made a game where everything in the game is trying to kill you and you're just constantly running from it. But like there's platforming, there's sneaking, there's puzzle solving, there's like, action sequences where something large will try and get you. And both games are very reflective of that. Because you're a very small person in like a huge atmosphere. And the second one, I believe, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but I believe the second one is more of a prequel to the first game.
Right.
But me and the Scary Game Squad guys, whenever we play that game, I always joke that it's just a baby Ezio. So I'm like, I'm running from everyone, because you usually have a hood, and you're just like, I'm going to assassinate that big giant lady over there. I was very excited when they announced Little Nightmares 3. This is the third game in the installment, obviously, but it's been published in the past, and I think it's still going to be published by Bandai Namco.
Yeah. Very not how they roll. They're usually just FromSoft games, like anime stuff, and
some
that's
indies,
it, right?
It's like it's Little Nightmares and freaking the Until Dawn Dark Side Picture Chronicles. I think they did those too.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
They do those as well. True. You're right. Yeah, they're quite. They have like
I want
They
a
have,
collab
like-
where it's like Little Nightmares, but I play as Gohan.
I would sell. I could definitely say
Like,
that's
just
a
like
way
a
to
cute
break
little
into a new
Gohan.
market.
Oh
yeah,
man, I want that. I
Yep.
want that modded.
Well, this does
Make it
look
happen.
co-op, which is interesting because
Ooh,
I very much
yes.
hope that it will still play as a single player experience. I think it was something that they were kind of cooking on with the last one because you have a companion for a lot of Little Nightmares too. So
Yeah.
hopefully it can still feel like that when you're playing alone. But
Ooh,
co-op is cool.
The art styles is like really nice too. It feels very almost like claymation-y to a degree. Not claymation,
yeah.
like very 3D model-esque. Very
It's
cool
always
stuff.
looked really nice. They've always like nailed it. Looking at trailers and gameplay, it's always looked really fantastic. So
That's part of
Yeah.
the reason why I like them is like I just like replay, like they're like those smaller experiences that are just so well paced, like a Limbo or Inside. This is kind
Oh,
of like
yeah.
a spookier version of
Yeah,
those, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
always just like, all right, cool. I can't wait to play that again a year from
Mm.
now or 2 years from now. You know, this one
Sure.
is not coming out until next year though. I was hoping it would squeak in for the fall spooky season, but it's the calendar's filled
dude, we are
enough.
busy
Jake,
enough
what do
as
you-
it
what
is.
do you
Come
say?
on, man.
What do you say,
Seriously.
Jake?
I'm sorry. I know. I take
What do you say, Jake? There's too
Come on,
many
more
games,
video
Jake.
games. Come on.
Too many of them.
That's right.
Ralph, what about you? Anything stand out?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think Jeff was very smart to set expectations for this show. He was like, this is an update on existing stuff and don't expect many new reveals. I think there were only 2 new games revealed during the showcase. One was Little Nightmares 3 and the other was Killing Floor 3, which got a cinematic-y sort of trailer that looked like it might have been some in-engine stuff as well. Hard to tell how that's going to go, what the deal is. But hey, Killing Floor is back and that's cool, I guess. Maybe the only other reveal was this Zack Snyder Rebel Moon thing, which, did you guys see this one? Did you see this, Jake?
It looks like a lot. I really want to see that in a movie theater, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those people.
I'm the guy that's like, I don't love Zack Snyder's stuff, but I really like that he goes for it. Like, I really love that he just has his full-on style and he just fucking swings for the fences. And it's like, I don't necessarily like everything that he does, but I'm like, yeah, cool. You do you, man. I'm glad that people keep giving you money to make stuff. And so this Rebel Moon thing is a new movie IP universe that he's invented, and he's going to make a game out of it as well eventually. I don't think he's ever made a game before. Or at least doesn't, and I suspect he doesn't understand what he's actually just said, because he's like, I'll make a movie. That'll take about 3 or so years. It's like, my man, get ready for how long it takes to make a video game, my friend.
Have you heard of Game Dev?
He's gonna go through a real journey on that one. But look, the biggest standout thing for me personally, there was 2 things. First of all, there was Crimson Desert, which we saw a huge amount of gameplay for, and it was just like, it's a lot, man. It's huge, and you're going up in the sky, and you're just fucking teleporting around, and you're transforming into this floaty shadow thing, and it's just wild. Like, it is totally relentless, and it really wasn't on my radar that much before this, but it's definitely on there now, and I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but it's definitely going to be interesting to check out just because of the number of things that they have crammed into that. So that definitely caught my attention. The other one was,
it was like
sorry,
stealth. It had stealth. It had crazy like open world shit, like
Yeah.
combat, like because they went dark for a while, right? It's been a
Sure.
long time since we've heard something about this.
Yeah, because it's being made in Korea.
It's the Black
And-
Desert Online people.
Yeah, exactly.
believe.
And
Yeah.
that game, a lot of people really like some parts of that, not others. But this is their next thing, and I don't know, it just really captured my attention. I was like, okay.
I'm kind of getting like refined Assassin's Creed vibes a little bit, just with how the open world stuff is looking out. Like,
I
even
think it
just
looks-
like, sorry, go ahead. No,
No,
you
you
go
go,
ahead.
you go. I cut you off. You go, you must go.
I was just saying, like, just the way that like you attack enemies or like get on a horse. Like, there's in the trailer, the dude just like climbs on a carriage and kicks the dude off and steals it.
Yeah, it looks like Assassin's Creed if it was turned up like to 99. It
Yeah.
just looks so wild and over the top. But yeah, I thought that looked cool. The other thing was Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. And I was I was like, that looks so fucking cool that I wanted to go and download Cyberpunk right now. But then I was like, wait a second, those things are not in the game yet. But I was like, well, maybe I'll just boot it up anyway and start mucking around because man, I love that world. I love hanging out in there. Because when I played it in LA and I spoke to the development team about it, they started talking to me about all these new things before they had announced them. And they were like, yeah, we're going to talk about all that stuff later. I'm like, you guys should be talking about this stuff now because this stuff is cool. Just as a quick recap for anyone that missed it, there's obviously new weapons coming along and new quests, which is cool. There's new and reworked cyberware. There's a whole redoing of the perk system because the perk system in the base game was terrible, like a total dumpster fire. So they're just ripping that out and replacing it. There's this relic skill tree thing, which gives you the like really powerful marquee abilities, like the ability to teleport across the battlefield. There's new vehicles. There's vehicular combat, which is something that I experienced myself in my hands-on demo. And yeah, you are literally driving a car that fires rockets and doing all that sort of shit, just like they promised at the very beginning, but it's finally going to be in the game. The police system has been reworked, and now if you piss them off enough, max tack arrive, and they will mess you up. And then they've also talked about these things called endless dynamic events and missions, which I don't really know about yet. But basically the promise is you can just hang out in the world and just do cool shit for as long as you like, right? So all of it is bundled up. So a lot of that is just coming to the base game for free. And then on top of that is the expansion, which has the whole spy thriller thing. Idris Elba's frontlining that, and you know, he seems super cool. The whole package, man, it's just God, I'm so excited for it because that's middle of September. Finish up with Starfield, then go straight into that. Actually, back end of September, I think. Yeah. And man, I can't wait. I think I'm so excited. I know a lot of people will never forgive Cyberpunk for its launch issues. 100% fair enough. Yeah. But I have always loved that game, even despite its issues, just because of that world and the characters and the stuff that it did manage to get right. And so to know that they're like fixing up so much of the broken shit. Yeah, it's very. I'm pumped.
That trailer, the car combat got me. Like knowing that it's coming, it was cool. Totally. We've talked about it, but then seeing it. And then seeing using the hacking options, like looking at a car, I was like, yes. Whoa, I hope that's as good as it actually looks.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And also, I mean, the technology back end of it as well, like with ray tracing and the path tracing that they've put in there. Like if you do have a 40 series card and you can run this game with path tracing, it's unbelievable how good this game looks. It is just the best looking video game on the market, I think, full stop. When path tracing is really kicking in and it's doing its thing on scenes, it is just phenomenal. And I think as well, NVIDIA's just announced some new stuff. I don't quite know what that is yet, but they've announced some improvements to their path tracing and also to DLSS 3. So there's all sorts of new stuff on the way for the technology side of the game as well. Did you guys see this like Half-Life 2 RTX remix thing that they're doing?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I was like, God damn, man. Yeah, they're doing some interesting stuff with all that. So yeah, bottom line, I think Cyberpunk kind of stole the show for Gamescom this year. I'm not sure if there's anything else that I saw actually Mortal Kombat. Didn't that look fun?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat's like a given at this point. You know?
Yeah,
it's like
I agree.
Awesome no matter what.
It just feels like we're getting the drip feed. Every 2 weeks, trailer. Every 2 weeks, trailer. Yeah. Every 2 weeks, trailer. And then it's here.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, here's smoke. Here's this person. Here's that person. Like, all right, cool. I'm in. For me, the other thing, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was, I think I've bounced off. I like the new Modern Warfare campaigns, but at this point, I don't know. Alan Wake was cool. Alan Wake also, like, we know it looks cool. But the new showing and the focusing on Alan and the live action stuff, just like Remedy really like flexing their Remedy was nice to see.
It really was actually. That guy just looks so much like Jake Gyllenhaal. Alan Wake, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
does.
I just every time I see him, I'm like, is that Jake? No, it's not Jake Gyllenhaal. It's just a
Maybe
guy.
Jake Gyllenhaal looks like Alan Wake.
Maybe that's it. Maybe. But no, it did look really cool. I was impressed by it. There was also a new trailer for Armored Core 6, which is out this week. And there was also the announcement of the next season of Diablo 4, which everyone kind of was just like, oh, more Diablo, hey? Diablo is really, as I said, keeps getting the shit kicked out of it. The seasonal announcement definitely did not garner much excitement. So actually, Gerard, one thing I wanted to ask you about, yeah, true. One thing I wanted to ask you about was the Sonic stuff, because they announced Sonic Superstars is coming October 17th.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with Sonic Superstars?
Well, I played it at did you guys play it at Summer Games Fest, the preview stuff?
No.
A little bit,
It was fun. It was very fun. I think they're trying, this feels like a new art direction, a new gameplay focus. They're trying their best to, because look, the reality is that ever since Sonic Generations, there has been the debate of 2D Sonic versus 3D Sonic. That's always been the big thing. 3D Sonic, 2D Sonic, 3D Sonic, 2D Sonic. And this is the first 2D/3D aesthetic Sonic that we've had since Generations proper, since like an actual game that is imbued entirely in this. I'd say since Sonic 4 and Episode 1 and 2 way back in the Xbox Live arcade days. So for this, like they're really trying to hone in on the nostalgia of what Sonic's been working towards the last couple of years. This is really for the fans, I feel, of the collections of Sonic games that have been released in the last 4 years or so, between like Sonic Mania Plus, the new Sonic collections they just released a couple last year, and then this year. They're trying to like satiate the classic fans, and then they have Sonic Frontiers, which is like, hey, this is new Sonic.
Every time I see a new Sonic game announced, I always assume that it's just another collection of the previous Sonic games. I feel like they've sold the Sonic collection like 8 times in the last 4 years.
What they did was they released the main Sonic collection last year, which had Sonic 1, 2, 3, and CD, and then they re-released it physically, which it had with the Plus, and the Plus has all of the 16 portable Genesis games. So you're getting all of the Game Gear games, portable Genesis, the Game Gear. You're getting all the Game Gear games as well as the original Sonic stuff. And I believe if you own Sonic, the collection, like it's like a DLC add-on pack. But you get a physical now, which is what everyone's excited about, because physical media obviously is real important. And they obviously try and make it like themed like a Genesis box or a Sega CD box. So nice. Yeah, if you're a collector of that kind of stuff, it's exciting. But as far as this new Sonic game goes, it's exciting because it's not just like another 2D platformer. It's got proper multiplayer at the same time, which like, the last time they've done proper multiplayer at the same time is like the original Sonic games, where it's like player 2 is Tails, and you can't really keep up with Tails. He just kind of he's your little brother, right? Just flies all over the place. But in this case, it's proper multiplayer. The Chaos Emeralds actually do something, which is unheard of before. Usually how the Chaos Emeralds work is you get them all and then you turn to Supersonic. In this case, like when you get a Chaos Emerald, you're given the ability to unlock a special spell or skill, like clone a bunch of Sonics, or I think that's the only one that we really know. There might be like another one where it's like, Sonic can go up waterfalls and water environments, so he like can vertically move up into like the atmosphere and appear elsewhere.
That has fun implications. They should get weird with Sonic, kind of like how they're getting really weird with Super Mario Wonder. Like, just give Sonic the Infinity Stones. Basically.
Yeah, right. So I mean, good on them. I think in the last, despite what the larger zeitgeist says, I think Sonic fans are so happy right now just because of how great Sonic Mania was. The collection, despite its like music, Michael Jackson whole thing about that issue, turned out pretty solid for the most part. And of course, a lot of the Sonic fans are happy with how Sonic Frontiers turned out.
And that's getting an expansion, just a DLC update, whatever.
Yeah, the final update, I believe, because in almost a year they've released 3 other updates Most of them were free in cosmetics, like, happy birthday Sonic, it's Christmas time Sonic. They added some more challenges and the drop dash from Sonic Mania as a move. They added more challenges to the previous stuff. But the funny thing
celebrates Christmas. Is that canon? Sorry.
I haven't touched the game since I completed it, just because I don't have time to always go back and check them out. But the thing that's funny on Twitter right now is that's been trending, or sorry, X. For you fans out there.
Don't call it X.
Super Sonic 2 was trending. And that's because in the trailer, Sonic goes supersonic, and his eye colors change a different color.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's Supersonic 2!" And it's been very funny to see all the comments about that, because all of genuine fans are like, "Oh my god, his eyes changed color," and everyone else is like, "That's Supersonic again, Supersonic 2." So
the trailer was like, "That's right." The trailer zoomed in on his eyes, like, "That's right." His eyes are different colors,
and they're baby blue. You know what that means?
Supersonic 3. He has no eyebrows.
It's just now becoming the whole tale of Super Saiyans, right?
Yeah.
Just progressively, he's getting there.
So that's our review of Gamescom opening night live.
Yeah.
How many Bill Clintons would you give the overall performance of the show? On a scale of 1 to 5, how many Bill Clintons would you want to tell your rabbi about?
I'm like 3.5 Bill Clintons on this one. I mean, because I feel like, because Jeff set the expectations at the right level. He didn't overhype it. He was very much like, guys, it's just what we already know about this stuff. And then we saw gameplay for some stuff that looked really interesting. There were some standout trailers that really piqued my interest and put some games on my radar. It was very focused on the games. It didn't have like ads or whatever, because it's because it's funded by Gamescom, as opposed to, Jeff needs to scratch the money together from Gillette or the anti-vape lobby. So it was like really focused on the games, and, other than the dickhead at the front end rushing the stage, I think it all went off pretty well. And so I was like, yeah, all right, fair enough. Good job, Jeff.
Jake, what about you? How many Bill Clintons would you give?
Yeah, I'd say four bills out of 5, especially because, like, again, expectations were set. I get, like, some people, like, I was watching Kind of Funny's reactions earlier, and Snowbike Mike was saying that he didn't want something that like 2 hours of our time where it could have been a blog post. And I get a lot of people think that way, but also, like, we eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff, and like a lot of weird nerds out there do too. So I was able to watch something. I was able to kick back and just watch some video game information for 2 hours. So I was happy. Like, I'm easy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, we didn't mention a whole bunch of stuff. Like, for example, we saw more of Assassin's Creed Mirage. Nightingale, they got an announcement for their early access in February 22nd next year.
Yeah.
And that looks awesome. And I've spoken to the team about that. It looks great. Lords of the Fallen got a new story trailer. I've actually played that, and we'll talk about that later in the episode. The First Descendants got a beta on September 19th. The Crew Motorfest got an announcement release date September 14th. Stormgate is that new RTS from the people who made, like, StarCraft and Warcraft 3, and we got like a little bit of a look at faction stuff there. Like, there was a lot there, and so, like,
there was info.
Could that have all been a blog post? Not really, I don't think. Like, I think there was a reason to turn up for this, and I think that I'm glad it happened.
I think it's one of those situations where people watched this and just kind of went, "That's it." Like, you see that kind of behavior a lot around Nintendo Directs, where it's like,
sure.
I watched this Nintendo Direct and they didn't announce a new Zelda game 2 months after they released a new Zelda game. That's it. Like that kind of, that's the vibe that I get from a lot of reactions to these I guess press conferences or digital events. But you have to take a step back and look at this and go, if you are a fan of these particular genres, albeit niche or specific or grandiose AAA, there's a lot to enjoy here. It's just that you may not enjoy it because it's not your cup of tea. That doesn't mean that that's it. There's actually a lot here. That there's a lot more games than I thought there would be for this showcase.
Sure.
Especially for stuff that I don't really care about, but it was still cool.
as impressive as it wasn't as impressive as the Big Mode memo. Did you guys check that out?
I did
Duncan?
watch the Big Mode memo. Yes, I did.
It was nice. It was good. It was good. Animal Well looks cool, and the what was it called again? It's got a new name now. I forget the new name. Anyway, it's a roguelike shooter that is looking sick. And it's just nice to see Dunkey doing his thing of kicking goals, and it was just nice. I liked it. It was a nice time.
I loved the wholesomeness of Leah in the beginning, just writing that Princess Peach-esque letter to everyone. Yeah,
dear Dunkey.
Yeah,
no, it was great. So do check it out. And there was one other showcase I feel like this week. Oh yeah, the Destiny one. We'll talk about that later. So, Yeah, it was cool.
Gamescom.
It was cool.
If anything, it does at least serve as a nice kicking off for the actual physical event, which I would like to go to one day. That's where Lucy is currently. Lucy, our very own Lucy James, is at Gamescom.
Oh, that's why she's not here. I did not put two and two together on that one.
Yeah. Hopefully she brings back some
That's why it's boys'
stuff.
night.
That's
Lucy,
why it's boys' night.
not everyone can turn into a puppet and then get on a plane, Lucy. Come
What
on.
if she brought it with her? Do you reckon she brought it with her to do hosting duties in Germany?
Oh my God.
She has to explain at immigration, like in customs in Germany, like why she has this puppet with her.
Are you kidding me? If I had a puppet that looked like me, I would be known as the weird puppet guy. Like it would be like Jake and his fucking puppet.
You'd be in the JW hotel after an event with your puppet. I'll have a bourbon and Coke and just an orange juice for my friend, thanks.
Dude, friends. Oh, dude, hold on. I had the pun. It's like Friends puppet second. No, there's got to be a like.
No.
In my mind, I was like, "What's the pun for us as puppets?" It's there somewhere. Muppets for Friends. No, I'm out. I tried.
You're workshopping it.
I'm trying. I'll get there. Speaking of workshopping it, real quick, my Bill Clinton's out of Bill Clinton's for this.
Yeah.
I give it a 3. There is some interesting stuff for everyone. But until we get a remake of Brave Fencer Musashi, every showcase will get a 3 from me.
That's your Soul Reaver, is it? That's it.
That's it? Brave Fencer Musashi remake? That's it?
Sure.
That's it for me.
Fair.
It's a
Carry
small
that torch.
ask, you know? Oh, it's easy.
Come on, Square Enix. It's not that hard to make a game.
Just that hopefully performs at your expectations, your sky high expectations.
# not my game.
Well, moving on briefly, let's talk about some re-releases. They're in the discourse right now. There's two things going on. There's the Metal Gear Solid Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, and then released this week is Red Dead Redemption. Basically, There's nothing to it. It's Red Dead Redemption has been ported to PS4 and Nintendo Switch. So with PS4, it's just PS4. It's basically, I guess, to be on the same level of like, well, it's on Xbox through backwards compatibility. So now it's also on PlayStation. On Nintendo Switch, it's kind of cool because it's on Switch. But a lot of people are pointing out that both versions feature no improvements other than having Undead Nightmare and no special features, anything like that, and charging $50 dollarinos. Have either of you guys checked this out, or just am I the only?
Rockstar did not send me a code for it, and I would never want to give them money for that. So no, I did not check it out. But like, it's just, I mean, it's $50 for what feels like, because obviously they put work into this product, absolutely, for sure. Because I mean, like, of course, absolutely. But $50 for a game that is what 11, 12 years old now, with basically no improvements whatsoever, and not even available to PC players. That's the part that really pisses me off, because I'm just like,
left in the dark.
You guys did this fucking work. Just bring it to PC, for fuck's sake. Like, what is the deal here? You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's not like Grand Theft Auto role playing has taken over the internet or anything, and that Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption 2 also has its own role play server thing. Like, it's not like there's Ralph. The reason why they didn't do it is because there's no PC players playing PC games, my dude.
That's right. No one plays Rockstar games on PC.
No one plays.
You're absolutely right about that.
No way, dude.
No way. So it's annoying in that regard, because it would have been nice to have that. At the same time, obviously, if you really want Red Dead on PC, you are not going to struggle to find it. Don't get me wrong, but an official port for people to actually play properly, supported by Rockstar, Yeah, that would have been nice. So, but I think the GTA remasters are a pretty good barometer of how this company feels about remastering their old content, and I don't think we should have ever expected much from Rockstar in this regard. And yes, these ports are definitely in line with that.
At least it's like, the way I look at it, like the price, like, at least it's on platforms for some people, and they didn't screw it up. They did use another like outsourced company to do this, but from what I played, they don't seem messed up at all, and it actually runs pretty good on Switch. So
it does. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so there's that. But that was like just a bare bones simple re-release, where we have the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, which people have raised concerns over after, like, there was a preview event. People like influencers, press talked about it, and it has been now confirmed, the resolutions and stuff. It's targeting 1080 60, except on Switch where it's going to be 30. And a lot of people are unhappy about that.
Look, can we just have the honest conversation? The Switch is not the Steam Deck. As the Nintendo guy, I love my Switch. It's an
old game, though. That's the only thing. It's a very old game.
But like these are very old games now.
Devil May Cry runs like butter on the Switch, I believe.
Yeah, I agree, but also let's take a step back. And what did we just talk about 10 seconds ago? The Red Dead Redemption barely porting things up, right? Like there has to be. I guarantee you that some company out there could figure out how to engineer the game to run at 1080p or less than 1080p 60 frames per second on Switch, right? But considering the dev time, the amount of money they would need to put, that's more effort that would then just go, let's just release them together and just get them out the door. Personally speaking, I'm the one guy that really loved Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes on GameCube.
Me too.
Yeah.
I would have loved it. Like if you were like, hey, that's going to be 1080p 60, as well as you've got the classic at 720p 30 or whatever, I'd be like, you know what, I'm good, because that game is great. I know everyone hates the performance changes and stuff like that, but like I think the changes in the game are great and they're fun, and as someone who recently completed it, I enjoyed the shit out of it. So
yeah,
I'd love to play. Oh, thank you. I'd love to play that game again because it was so fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's so the thing with this one is that I look at it already as like, all right, well, they're already splitting it up, right? The Master Collection only is Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and a bunch of random goodies around that. So
yeah, like the original Game Boy games.
It doesn't have 4. So, and like the intention, it's been teased, it's kind of been like rumored, and like that there is going to be a Master Collection Volume 2. So it's already split up into 2. So it's already kind of like a consumer, a money play, you know? So I'm kind of like already partially checked out in terms of this one package preserving the integrity of Metal Gear for future platforms, because like it's not a complete package, and then there's weird stuff in it. So I got to check it out. Granted, it was running on Switch and it wasn't final, but it doesn't seem like they're really doing too much, which, like, again, it's like, how far do you want them to go? Change things, tweak things. Where Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are the Blue Point code, the Blue Point HD remasters from the 360 PS3 era. That's generally good. But again, like, some people want these games now, if they're going to pay for them again, they want them at like blistering 4K. For me, my bigger concern was Metal Gear Solid 1, because it could get a little something. And I've also just experienced that game so many times on PC through different community mods and different versions that are pretty fucking good, with not too much tweaking. And Metal Gear Solid 1 that I saw was pretty rough looking. It just kind of like, I saw seams. It was just kind of like whatever. Like, it kind of just felt like, here you go. Here's some backgrounds for it, you know, for the 4x3. And that's it. And that's a bummer, because I think that game deserves love and care. I don't need it to be remade, but I would love it to be slightly more accessible for, you know, newer generations.
I think these conversations are kind of interesting, because your average person who just plays video games casually they're going to see a remaster. They're going to be like, cool, I can play these old games. And they're going to play them. And because they don't live and breathe video games every day, and they probably don't even give a fuck about 60 FPS, they're just going to be like, cool, it works. And I can play Metal Gear. This is just like I remember. Sweet, no worries. That's all good, right? And so Konami's kind of ticking the box on that sort of segment of the market. And it's the same with Rockstar, I guess, right? Then there's like nerds like us who live and breathe video games every day, and we understand how these things work, and we have higher expectations, and we complain about things and whatever else. Right? We're totally insufferable, okay? The only way that you can really make us happy is by like going all in on what would be quite, which obviously raises the price of development significantly, or the cost of development, I should say, significantly, right? And then at that point, those companies, I'm sure, are making like cost benefit analysis, like, are we going to make our money back on this, whatever. But for us, the other thing is, like, if we really care about this stuff, we just go down the emulation route. And I think that if these companies, like, I think the watermark test for a re-release is, should I buy this or should I just emulate it? Because I feel like a lot of the time, the emulation solution is superior to what companies are actually putting out. And that, I think in itself, again, that makes sense if they're just targeting the general consumer. They just want to turn it around and make it so it's playable on a new platform, fine. But if they really want to like honor the communities that made these games what they are, if they really want to honor the source material and ensure that it lives for years to come in this new revised form, then I think it has to be a case of, you should buy this because it's better than straight up emulation. That's a rare bar to clear for most of these remasters, I think.
It's really interesting. Go ahead, Jordan.
No. You go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, it's interesting with this one, though, and like why I'm so like all over the place with it is because the rest of the stuff they did do with this collection is actually really good. Where, Red Dead Redemption, we're talking about how it's charging $50 and it's just, here's the game again. We didn't touch a thing, pay us again. This Metal Gear collection does have a lot of cool shit for nerds. It has like all these menus where you can access all this stuff. So you can access Metal Gear Solid 1, you can access Metal Gear Solid Integral, you can access special missions, VR missions, all the different languages within those. And then like Ashley Wood's digitized graphic novels versions of the game, screenplays for all of the games, cool guides for the games. Like there's a lot there. And it's like, holy shit, this is really cool, especially for people who aren't like me, who have like 4 copies of all of them in their closet. That's cool. So it's like they're almost there. You know, I that's why I'm kind of like wishy-washy. It's
that
weird.
makes sense. I mean, like, and for that reason, I would be interested in picking up this package to have those things. But then again, it's like when it comes time to actually replay Metal Gear, I would probably just go down the emulation route again because I know I can deliver myself a better experience than what those re-releases can, So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think
What are you gonna do?
Well, it wasn't on our topics list for today, but I do want to bring it up because it was news last week, and it kind of goes alongside with this. Is that, guys, the Xbox 360 store is finally shutting down.
Yeah.
After 18 years, it will close July 2024. And I know a lot of you at home are wondering, hey, Gerard, are you going to spend another X amount of dollars on buying every single 360 game?
Are you going to give us the reveal here?
And the answer is, I am doing the research before I decide to commit to it.
Okay, all right.
I'm doing the math right now. And before
you buy every single game on the Xbox 360.
How am I doing, Jake? I got I got it right.
Yeah, one hand back a little more. Yeah. There you go.
It right now, me and my Discord mods have been going through and categorizing everything, and there is more DLC on the 360 than there was the Wii U and 3DS. A lot more, especially if you consider rhythm games.
Oh man,
so much more. And Jesus. So looking at it all, we're almost done categorizing it, and it's a lot more than, not that much more. You'd be surprised. I don't want to reveal it because then I lose the whole piece. But it definitely is more than the 3DS and the Wii U.
How much was the 3D? How much did you spend on 3DS and Wii U?
Almost 24,000 between both.
Okay, Right.
This is gonna. We're not done, and I'm well past the 24K so far.
Also money, but also organization and process wise, because I remember your process getting pretty crazy with
Yeah.
This is gonna have to be like a Mr. Beast video. It's gonna start with a wide shot of you being like, I bought a warehouse and hired 1,000 employees to categorize all these games, and I sold my kidney.
That's right.
I don't have the luxury of making those kinds of videos, but it's okay. I'm not trying to do that, right? And if I do it once again, it's all going to go to the Video Game History Foundation someday when they want it. It's just it's going all towards their fight. So, but it does kind of go in this the reason why I brought it up is because it aligns very much to this whole methodology of remakes and ports, right? Like, when I interviewed Frank and Kelsey for the VGF when we did that, video games are disappearing piece a couple of weeks ago, or I think a month ago. And the big thing they kept saying is that video game preservationists are not worried about the nerds who know how to use Google. They're not worried about guys like us who can literally go into Google and search for a Metal Gear Solid 1 ROM community and go in and mod the game on PC so that it runs better, looks better. You can be Waluigi in Metal Gear. Who knows what they put in those games, right? The concern about preservation is like, how do I get, baby Sally and baby John to like play these games? They can't go on Google and figure it out themselves. It's easier to send them to a museum or a library to be able to play those games the way they were created and meant to be played. And so that's kind of the big point here, is that if they're not gonna, like they are, I'm glad they're doing at least physical prints of Red Dead Redemption and the Metal Gear Solid collection for Switch and whatever. If they didn't do physical prints of it, I think I'd be a little more pissed off for the price tag, right? $50 to not have something in your hand sucks, because with no improvements, kind of a bummer.
That's why I get more jazzed about like Video Game History Foundation and like other organizations that do stuff like that, because I do have this weird feeling more and more where it just kind of is like this endless vicious cycle with the consumer side of like re-releases and ports and remasters and definitive collections, where you'll get it, and then 10 years from now, what's the platform going to be? Are we going to want that thing again and hope that a company once again will do the right due diligence and properly port it to the next thing? It's just this like Ouroboros, like snake head thing forever. So it's tiring, So I do like just knowing that proper OG files are there. People are doing the right things with them. And yeah,
I just like knowing that. Are you saying you're glad that the emulation community is doing its thing? Are you saying? And yeah, that's how I feel. Like, because I don't trust companies to do it. I don't trust physical media. Like, physical media is nice. Don't get me wrong, but like, but at the end of the day, like, you could get lost, you could get damaged. The platforms that you need to play it on become so hard to access, whatever else. And I know if there's a good emulation community out there doing their thing, like, that is sort of protecting all of us more than the companies ever will. And so that's what I'm really keen on. I definitely look to support that a lot more.
I want to highlight that in between though. Like, Gerard, what's the name of the company that did The Lion King and Aladdin? Like,
is that Digital Eclipse?
Digital Eclipse? Yeah.
That's Lion King, Aladdin. I gotta look it up.
See, they're doing good shit.
Digital Eclipse.
Yeah, fair enough. If there's a company that's out there doing it, then yeah, that's great. And then it'd be nice if there were more of those. But they are also beholden to rights, because they obviously, Disney owns that shit. And if Disney wasn't going to press the button on that, it wasn't going to happen. And
then that still once again falls into what I said, where it's like this endless cycle. It's like, oh well, that's great, but then what's the next codec? Like, when PlayStation 4, the architecture is one thing, but then like what the PS7, what the architecture is going to be totally different. Like, so it's just this endless thing.
Yeah. So to give you guys an idea, since 2015, Digital Eclipse, the company that worked on that, has worked on the Mega Man Legacy Collection, Disney Afternoon Collection, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, SNK 40th, obviously the Disney classics of Aladdin and Lion King, Samurai Showdown Neo Geo Collection, the Blizzard Arcade Collection. They also worked on the new Space Jam beat 'em up that came out during a couple years ago for the movie. The Disney Games Classic Collection, the Cowabunga Collection was them too. Atari 50th, they worked with Atari on that too. Like, Digital Eclipse does not mess around. These dudes work with
cool.
Frank and Kelsey at the Video Game History Foundation. In fact, they all work in the same building together because Frank worked on the Mega Man Legacy Collection, the very first one. So these guys are all about not only porting, but like the idea of
Getting
porting and supporting video game preservation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, we'll see where the future goes. But thank you for letting me talk about Metal Gear Solid, guys. Thank you.
Always.
Always a
I'll
pleasure.
talk about it more soon,
Always.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well,
one
with that,
day we'll
let's-
get Kojima on and you'll be able to ask him personally.
He's not going to answer any of my questions. I'm going to be like, remember when the Cyborg Ninja was like awesome?
Dude.
That was so cool.
Jake,
He'll be
if,
like, no.
if and when we get Kojima on the podcast, you have to figure out how to ask him a Metal Gear Solid question without asking a Metal Gear Solid question. Like, you're like,
He would like that.
you were
He would
like,
that.
hey, Kojima, there's this pizza shop on the corner of 12th and Venice that serves a particular pizza that if you opens up an entire facility where there is a secret cyborg inside, and just go from there and just and just see if he'll eventually answer the question. You have to layer
He
it.
would
You have to
terminate
layer
the
it.
interview. He would just look at Jeff and be like, we're leaving.
He'd be like, I thought we were going to talk about Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I thought this
I would
was
like
a
to
movie
discuss the new
podcast.
Jordan Peele movie. Thank you very much.
I thought we were going to talk about the last season of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, he's a human letterboxd account, and we love him for
Yeah.
that.
He is.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, or not really, let's move on over to user questions. We got a user question from Caleb, who sent this question to contact@friendspersecond.com. Is that correct?
Got it. He's got it, friends.
I'm
He's
on it.
nailed it
That's
down.
That's right. So Caleb asks, I have recently gotten my partner into gaming and we have been having a blast playing couch co-op together. So far, we have beaten the Overcooked games, It Takes Two, and Cuphead. What co-op games would you recommend we tackle next? And what is your favorite couch co-op memory? It's a good question.
Oh, that's a great question. Just this week, actually, Moving Out 2 was released, which is great, obviously. Moving Out
Amazing game.
games
Amazing.
are super fun and basically just like think Overcooked, but with moving house. And you can imagine what that is. Like it's very simple, straight out of, it's very, very straightforward. Yeah, outside of that, like really great co-op games. I don't know. You start to get into like I don't know what your partner might be into because it sounds like you're playing more fun family party style games. But then obviously you get into the world of co-op shooters, and you start talking about your Left 4 Deads and your whatever else that comes along, Back for Blood, and your Alien, Fireteam Elite, and like even Destiny. Would you start calling those like live service looter games co-op games?
I know some people that like have had entire relationships over like playing the Borderlands games together. Like,
yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. So it all depends on how hardcore you want to get with your co-op like gaming. Yeah, that's it. And as for like best couch co-op memory, I don't know, man. Because all that stuff was growing up with my brothers, and I don't know if we actually played many co-op games. Oh, Halo, I guess, would probably be my best couch co-op memory growing up, playing that with my brothers back in the day. Like that was obviously that was peak. But it's just a lot of competitive games back when we were growing up, like Mario Kart Balloon Battle and like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat Till Our Eyes Bled and all that sort of stuff. Like less co-op stuff. I think we had more co-op games back then, but I don't know. I think my brothers and I just played a lot more competitive stuff against each other. That was more fun.
All right, Caleb, I got two suggestions for you. Both are one is in line with the stuff that you are into with your partner right now, and another is one that is a bit older but still very, very fun. It'll test your relationship. The first one is Snipper Clips. Such a great game.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's an underrated one.
Nintendo Switch launch title from the indie shop stores. You basically play as pieces of paper that can clip together, and you have to solve puzzles together. Very fun, very interesting. It's like basically a bunch of like one-page platforming solutions. So like you load in the game, and it's like figure out the puzzle, work together. Very, very fun. The next one that I feel like was a craze many, many years ago, especially because of the VR craze, but it's still very fun to do in the room with someone. I've done it many a time, and it always tests your ability of listening and reacting. And that, my friends, is keep talking and nobody explodes.
Yeah.
I love this game. This is, you can go into the game. Essentially, if none of you've ever played it, I know most of you have, but the idea is that wearing either a VR headset or someone's at a PC, you have to defuse a bomb. And the only way to defuse it is that there is a manual, and the manual is given to someone else in the room with you or over Discord, whatever it may be. And you have to work together to describe how to defuse the bomb. And you will learn very quickly how well you are able to articulate and how well you are able to listen and what you need to work on as a team. Because as it gets harder, it only gets more and more complicated, and you will really not listen to each other. You actually, thinking about it, you might get a divorce or break up. So just be careful. But it is very, very fun, especially if you get really good at it.
Yeah, games
you guys will play the game, right?
Pull you out of your comfort zone. Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
For me, it was always beat 'em ups as a kid, definitely. So I would recommend like newer stuff like Shredder's Revenge, Streets of Rage 4. Sure. But for me, I really liked Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. I played that cooperatively, I believe. But more recently, and I've said this before, if you watch my videos, I'm sorry if I'm like a broken record, but Hazelight Studios, like their games just really get me excited. A Way Out is probably one of my better recent co-op gaming memories, where my friend Andrew and I like just crushed it in a day at like the Game Ranks office. I was like, you want to like play this game with me? We should. That'd be fun. We used to do this all the time as kids. We haven't done this in like 10, 15 years. You want to just like beat this weird game? And we ended up having such a good time because it is such a trip. And what I like about Hazelight games, A Way Out and also It Takes Two, is that they're designed to kind of, first, they're really well paced. They always change up the mechanics and stuff like that. And they encourage you to work together in a little bit more interesting ways. You might have to actually speak to the person next to you while you're playing. Not in super creative ways like nobody keep talking and everybody, whatever it's called. I'm totally... but more in like a regular video game way, where it's like, you know, you're both trying to sneak, or you're both trying to carry a box, or you're both trying to like row a boat down a stream, but you're each controlling an oar. Like it's just good. It's like wholesome. And like, I know they're like, like some people dunk on those games, especially A Way Out, because it's goofy, but I love it.
It was very cool. I agree. Joseph Faris, man, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's cooking up next.
Am I right?
Oh man, whatever that Lebanese man is, I will follow him into the Eye of Mordor. I'm in. Whatever the term is, I'm there.
I will follow him into the Eye of Mordor.
The Eye of Mordor. Look, Sauron's like, ow!
Look, I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy. I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
Lucy would be upset by that. She would be very...
It's boys' night, Lucy.
That's right.
It's boys' night, and boys get things wrong sometimes.
All right, the next topic is a tough one. Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario himself, since Super Mario 64, has announced he is stepping away from the role in a kind of joint announcement between him and Nintendo. They announced that he is stepping back as the voice of Mario, but will be in a new role as Mario Ambassador, traveling the world and sharing the joy of Mario with fans, which is very nice. But I don't even know where to start with this. This is crazy, especially because I feel like a lot of people out there have been talking about this like he died, and he did not.
Yeah, true.
To be fair, the announcement slide that Nintendo put out did give that vibe.
It did. And then a lot of people were sharing their favorite memories like of him and like, you know, what he's done. And that's good, but he's still alive. He's still out there. And I love
he's still with us.
Like I love his presence like outside of the games. It's always really nice. So I'm excited to see what else he'll cook up. Apparently there's an announcement video coming between him and some Nintendo higher up. So I'm curious to see what that is. What do you guys see for Charles now?
Well,
like going on tour or what?
Here's the thing people don't know. Charles Martinet has been going on tour for the last 2 decades at conventions, signing autographs and doing personal voicemails as Mario and Luigi and Wario and Waluigi. Like, he's been doing that forever. That's like what his whole like gig to gig thing is, in between recording stuff for Mario and whatever. If anything, this sounds to me a little bit, and this is me putting my Nintendo tinfoil hat on, which I'm sure they're going to see this and be very happy with me. I think it's going to be, they're putting on that Nintendo ambassador Mario slap of appeal on him so that they can advertise and make some of that money of like, he's going away, but he's still with the Nintendo family. He's still going to make us money, and he's going to your hometown so you can meet him and take a photo. And we also get a cut of you paying for that photo. That's the vibe I get.
Interesting. Because he did show up everywhere. You'd see him at small conventions, big conventions, and I assume that was mostly like as him, not as like a Nintendo collaboration. Yeah. So now do you think you'd see more of him going with like being on a Nintendo bus, so to speak?
Yeah. I mean, I personally didn't see that announcement or his appointment as ambassador as more as like a cynical money-making play. I more saw it as Nintendo recognize the impact that this guy's had on the franchise and on the fandom, and you can't just sort of replace someone like that in that way. You know, it's like he is Mario in many ways, and so I think this is Nintendo being like, well, how do we honor him? How do we honor the people, or like, and you know, respect and acknowledge the people that really love this man? And I think that's what the appointment is, and I think it's nice because, you know, most times voice talent is kind of just, it's pretty disposable in the industry a lot of the times. Like, it can be replaced pretty quickly. And it's really nice to see them paying the man the respect he deserves, I think. I thought it was a classy move, personally.
To be clear, I'm definitely not like this was a nefarious thing or a secret way of things to make money. The way I see it is they don't want the Nintendo fandom to perceive for a second that there was a bad blood split between Charles Martinet and Nintendo. And not that there was one behind the scenes, but like, that's what I think the Mario Ambassador program is. It's like it's almost like they're friends. We're still friends. Yeah, it's exactly. The Nintendo Hall of Fame for Hall of Famers in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Also, he may show up at your local Walmart and make some money, but
which I'd be fine with.
I do wonder though. I just like to know what the mindset is behind the decision. Who was it ultimately? What is it? Is it Charles deciding to finally wind it back, hang out? It's interesting because he seems like he still has so much in him and so much to give. And we know his voice isn't in Super Mario Wonder. People had kind of speculated that Mario sounded ever so slightly different in that trailer, and now it confirms that is not him. So we know that Nintendo is continuing with the same vibe. So it wasn't like they were like, we need a creative refresh. No, it's still yippee, waha, woohoo, so long, Gay Bowser. Like, it's still that.
They deleted that. I can't believe they deleted that, by the way. I'm still mad about that, by the way. I'm still mad.
So I just wonder what the idea is. Like, I hope maybe it was just him being like, I need my... Because he's also not doing just Mario. I mean, he's Wario, he's Luigi, Waluigi. Like, he's busy.
I saw a thread that was like, what if he's just retiring from Mario but still doing Luigi and the others?
Oh, dude. I would love that.
Yeah, look, maybe we're reading it wrong. Maybe it was actually a case of he wants to keep going, but Nintendo said no. Maybe there's like pay stuff in the background, like he wanted more money and Nintendo were like, no. Who knows, It
could also be that he's been doing that role for 25 plus years,
totally,
like
absolutely.
Like, and granted he has done other stuff, right? He was in Skyrim and he's voiced some other roles as well, but like, maybe he's ready for doing something different, and 25 plus years is that same character is a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
I wouldn't mind seeing him go all in on just doing way more characters. I would love to see like his take on like the Joker or something. Charles, do it. I'm serious.
Yeah.
He would chew on that shit.
But I think it's an interesting question as well, because I guess we will approach at some point with the video game franchises that we love the point where video game voice actors become too old to continue those roles and they need to transition to new voice talent, which is something that television has had to reckon with various shows over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And here we are now, like in the world of video games where these franchises are so long and storied, eventually you need to replace your voice talent, because I was thinking about a Soul Reaver reboot, for example, with Michael Bell as the voice of Raziel. And obviously his performance as Raziel is just like unbelievable, just flawless, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you're going to reboot that franchise, would you bring him back? Probably not, because you're setting up for the next phase of that franchise and, the next 10 or 20 years that it might exist. And, Michael Bell's a lot older now. That's why, completely separate to that, by the way, Ben Starr had mentioned the voice of Clive Rosfield. He mentioned that if his dream project is to voice Raziel, at some point, which I think would be perfect for. But that's what got me thinking about that, because it was kind of like, well, you probably would need to replace Michael Bell, as talented as he is, because these things that we love, these franchises that we're invested in, they outlive the people that voice them. And if they're lucky, they'll outlive the fandoms that love them as well, So as morbid as that might be, that is just the reality.
I think this is like one of the first big video game versions of what we experience in other areas of pop culture, right? Like everybody loves movies, everybody knows pop culture, everybody like sees movies with that guy in it all the time. But movies and the things have been going on for so long. Our parents have been watching Star Wars, we're watching Star Wars, we're seeing like I just watched the new Mission Impossible, and it was the first time I was like, wow, I think Tom Cruise is finally maybe starting to show his age a little bit. Well,
exactly. Yeah, it's so
and
true.
And it's like, I've been watching him forever, and it's like you take for granted how somebody looks, and then all of a sudden their mortality is staring you in the face, and like you process your whole span of life. So it's like we have that, like we get hit with that with movies and music all the time when we don't realize it. Like Bob Dylan's like 98 years old, but we don't really have video game versions of that very often. And I think this is like the first like big mainstream wake up call that like times do change.
Nice callback to the yeah, that's good. I like it.
Oh yeah, I did times. I should have said the times they are a changing, and I said
I thought that's what you were.
Bowie.
Yeah, I thought that's where you were going, but then I was like, maybe he wasn't going that way, so I don't know. But no, I think you're absolutely
okay. Brain's rotting.
I think you're right, and that's what makes it quite poignant, because obviously Mario is the video game character. He's like the guy, and Charles Martinet has voiced him since voices in video games have kind of been a thing, because obviously before that we were talking about the 16-bit era, where voice work wasn't as commonplace, and so it's the dawn of video game voice acting. It's the most important video game character of all time, and it's the guy who voiced him moving on to his retirement years. And so that's a moment for reflection and looking back on how all this works, for sure.
I'm grateful, definitely. I mean,
yeah, man,
he set the tone for modern Mario and what it's like, and it's nice, it's comforting. It's great. Cool. People really go to it for a reason. People eat it up. And also showing that sometimes there's beauty in simplicity. Like it never got crazy. Yes. He never had long, he never had like a soliloquy or anything.
He never went like full Sonic and with all the stuff that all the talking characters, and he just has like little quips and noises.
I guess I'm not trying to poke any conspiracy theory bears here, but is there also a world? I mean, I saw Super Mario Wonder, the trailer, didn't even think twice that it wasn't Charles. After this, I'm going to go watch the trailer a few times and really see if I can hear it, because is it a situation where they have so many audio clips from him over the years that they don't really need him to come in to record new stuff? Or maybe it's like, not to bring AI to flip everyone's minds, but did they just take all of his lines and go, and now we have the ability to get him to recreate anything we need to say without him?
I didn't know if this is true or not, but I read somewhere that they actually re-recorded Mario's, like they recorded with Charles for every new Mario game that never reused.
That is correct.
Yeah. So then it would be very it would not be within keeping for them to change that, but maybe they did, because again, I'm sure like Hollywood and maybe video game publishers would love to be able to squeeze voice talent out of the process. Having said that, I don't know if Nintendo's like that. I mean, they're very creatively led organization, and I'd be surprised if they went down that route. It would be a bit of a doomsday scenario, I think, if we saw the whole video games industry shift to reliance on AI for major voice talent. I'm sure some publishers will love to make that happen, and they will try, but hopefully voice actors will resist and strike and not let that happen, because that would be very bad. Very bad.
It's just very interesting because they didn't announce the new person yet.
Yeah,
but they did say it's going to be mentioned in the credits, and that was odd. You're right. They did say that'll be credited, and that's when you'll find out.
That's even weirder, like
mentioned in the credits of what? Of the next game?
Of Wonder. They said that's when you'll find out when the new
can they do it like the end of
is.
Metal Gear Solid when it's like Mr. President, dun, 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 and Chris Pratt.
Yeah, totally. Chris Pratt shows up. You're like, fuck no, please. Did you guys see this rumor that he's going to be fucking Daxter in the Jack and Daxter movie with Tom Holland playing Jack?
Okay.
Yes, that is a thing that is doing the rounds right now.
They already made a Pixar movie with the two of them. Like, we already got that paired up already. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
No one wants that. No one wants any more of that.
Come on,
yeah,
man.
I don't know, man. We'll find out, I guess. But it is odd that they didn't say who the new voice talent was, to be honest with you, because it might have been a chance to like get that person warmed up and like meet this new person, and they can go to some conventions and stuff and start generating some goodwill behind them. But I guess they want the performance to speak for itself first, and then they do that after. I'm guessing.
Huh. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, like prove it first instead of having them come out like Tony Stark and Iron Man 2. Like, just voice first.
Yep.
Go from there.
Yep.
Well, let's get him on the pod, Charles.
I just had the same thought, and like,
let's go.
That would be nice. I don't know if he does podcasts, but he seems like the kind of guy that would do podcasts and would love to have a chat.
This would be a fun one to have.
That'd be awesome.
Come on.
It would be like he would be the adult, and all of us would just be like, yeah, whatever you say, Mario.
Yep.
I'm gonna call him. We'll make it happen.
Please.
No,
please do. Where's he from? Is he from New York? Is he one of your people?
I don't know where he's from.
I'm looking it up. Let's see. Yeah. Where is he from?
If he's from New York, then he's
he gives me upstate New York
oath-bound to be able to appear on the thing.
He's from San Jose.
Ah,
okay.
San Jose, California.
Okay, well, then maybe he's one of yours, so you can hit him up.
And Gerard can claim him.
Yeah,
I will claim him. Guys, just in case you're wondering, you guys, charlesmartinet.com is still up, and it is a website that was made in 1998.
Oh, I love that.
That is awesome.
Are we going to do a react right now?
Dude, just look. It is amazing.
Oh, that's perfect. His headshots, he's hot, man.
Oh my God, yes, it is absolutely a 1998 website. God, it's so cool.
There's an email link. Do we email him right now and ask him to come on the pod?
We absolutely do that. I'm going to actually do that as soon as we are done. I'm going to email this man. He doesn't remember me, but I have done several panels and shows with him.
We've taken photos together. But he's always like, it's good to see you again. I'm like, you too, Charles. You don't remember my name, but that's okay.
This is so funny. Like, wait. There's a blurb on here because he's obviously written this himself a million years ago and not updated it. This is the only blurb on this website. Quote, a brilliant character actor as well as a credible and engaging corporate spokesperson, Charles has created hundreds of entertaining characters on camera for video and film with over 400 corporate videos to his credit. Repeat clients include PG&E, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, Amdahl, Wells Fargo Bank, Kawasaki, and numerous others. That is it. He does not mention Nintendo once on this website. I wonder if that's because he's worried that Nintendo would sue him.
I think looking at this,
that's so good.
This website is so old that he literally only lists that he voiced Mario, Wario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, and now the voice of Baby Mario
All right,
in
nice.
Nintendo 64 games.
Oh wow.
Oh my
This
god,
hasn't been updated.
This is so good. I love this. Is absolutely traveling back in time. Please, if you would listen to the podcast, just go to charlesmartinet.com and check this out. It
Do
is
not
such a trip.
harass the
I love
man.
it.
Don't email him.
I don't need to harass him. This is awesome. We love this shit.
This is amazing. I can't believe I
Yeah.
found this. This
Yeah,
is straight.
that's
I found it straight from his Wikipedia page. Amazing.
Love it.
Amazing.
All right, good find, Gerard. Good find.
Well, thank you, Charles. Be sure to hit up Skillshare. if you need a link, let us know, baby. All right, next up we got another user question. We've had some hot ones. So this is from Jacob, who says, on Lucy's other podcast, she committed to besting 5 games from her backlog this year: Breath of the Wild, Outer Wilds, Metroid Prime, a Yakuza game, Metal Gear Solid 3. So inspired by Lucy's quest, are there any games that you want to beat from your backlog in 2023? Oh boy.
Oh yes, there are. Absolutely. All right, so can I go first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I actually track my backlog meticulously. I'm
Good
very
for
serious
you.
about my
I
backlog.
can't. It depresses me.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, Forspoken. I really want to do a video on Forspoken. Not to dunk on it, because that game's been through enough, but I actually just want to play it and like talk about it, just because I just find it so fascinating how that all went down with Luminous and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I really want to get to the bottom of like all the cringe dialogue and be like, well, I've seen clips, but how does this actually play? Or how does it actually sound when you listen to the whole thing in context? So that's very important to me. Octopath Traveler 2 is meant to be like one of the best, JRPGs in a hot minute. It's like 80 hours long, so I don't know when I'm ever going to find the time for that, but I desperately want to. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Team Ninja are ninjas at what they do, and I would love to play that. I played but not finished Dredge, and I played probably around 5 or 6 hours of it, and I really want to finish it because it was fantastic. Everspace 2, because it's a space shooter thing and it looks sick. Humanity, that weird puzzle game that came out on PlayStation, because it looks like modern day Lemmings, and I would love to see how that formula got remixed. And the other one that's very important to me is to finish Ghost Trick, because I played the first, I would say, third of it, and it was flawless. It's like perfect. It is amazing how good this video game is in every single little detail, in every inch, in every sound, in everything. And so I really want to go back and finish that. So yes, that is my backlog for just this year. But I also have literal like spreadsheets of backlogs for every year prior, which I won't go through now, but that's my 2023 list. So yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot, man.
He has a
It's
list
not
just for
enough time.
2023. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. I
Damn.
could have add Armored Core to that list as well, because I haven't had a chance to play that properly after my preview, and I desperately want to play
And
more
it's
of that.
out. It's out this weekend, right?
It is out by the time this podcast is out. I think the game is out.
Let
Yeah,
us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Would love to hear your guys' first impressions on Armored Core.
for sure.
Should Gerard play it? Be sure to let us know.
Yeah, let me
Yes,
know.
indeed. I'd watch that completion video for sure. I'd love to see that.
We talked about it, but I for whatever reason, I usually get codes real early from Bandai Namco, but they were real quiet for Armored Core 6, and I don't know why, because usually they're pretty like, we got you, man.
Sure.
But either way, Jake, what about you? What's on your backlog?
Oh, I hate to say it, but my backlog tends to be, just because, specifically with doing some game ranks videos, like we fall hard on the big heavy hitters, the AAA games.
Yeah.
So my backlog ends up being indies. Specifically, I know one on my list already. It's Dave the Diver. And also
Great game.
looking at my schedule, I know I'm not going to get to Sea of Stars right away. So I'm planning that for like a nice holiday fun time, like sit on a beach or a log cabin and play that on my Steam Deck or something. And I'm really looking forward to that. That's kind of what I do for my backlog is the question didn't really involve like backlog advice, but here we go. I embrace the fact that like there are too many games in this world that I
Yes.
like and I want to play and I want to have time for. There's not enough time in this world. So I kind of embrace the fact that like I'm just not going to get to shit, and I just go where my heart tells me, specifically in vibes. Like, I know that sounds silly, but with what I said with Sea of Stars, where it's like, oh, I can picture a time and a place when I can play that game. And I kind of strive for that. I don't put too much pressure on it to like freak me out or anything, but I strive to get to that point where I can sit down with like a hot cup of hot cocoa and play that game. And I kind of leapfrog that way in between big gaming seasons and big releases and stuff. Does that make sense?
Sure. It does, absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh man, I've got a fair amount, but I'm gonna try and keep it a mix of this year and old. I really want to play a game called Rocklin. It's there was a sequel / side game that came out this year called Mr. Saito. These are games that are made and produced by Laura Shigihara, who is the composer of Plants vs. Zombies. She's worked on World of Warcraft, Hoop Kings, I think is what it's called. It's like a NBA Jam type game. She's working on a lot of great stuff, and many years ago, she made her first game with some friends called Rocklin, and it's a really sweet and kind story that she told me about it, and I was like, God, that's my kind of game, and I never got around to it. And then this year she announced that not only is Rocklin coming to Switch, which it already did, but she made a new game called Mr. Saito, which is a character from Rocklin getting his own game. He's a llama worm that looks really cute and really fun, and it's like I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it looks very much like a Earthbound Undertale kind of vibe, where you walk around, talk to characters, and learn the world, if you will. So that's one. I definitely want to get around to playing which is the Final Fantasy that everyone Chaos.
Origins, Stranger of Paradise.
Origins, yeah, Stranger.
Yes,
Yeah, that's it.
Strangers of Paradise. Thank you. I did not get around to playing that. Yeah, that's the one I definitely wanted to jump back into.
That seems like
I didn't even
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I love No More Heroes and like that over the top action, and it seemed like my kind of game, but just never got around to it fully through. What else? Sorry, I'm scrolling through my list of Steam games. Yes. Borderlands 3. Haven't gotten to it.
Oh wow, okay.
I loved Borderlands 1 with all my passion. I'm gonna throw Borderlands 2 on there as well, because I've Borderlands 2 is the game that I've started over again and again and again.
Oh wow.
The furthest I've ever gotten is when the base lifts up into the sky, and then I restart the game. I don't know what happens after that moment.
Wow.
That's the first act of the game, and I haven't gone beyond that. Well, it's because I like playing that game. Borderlands to me is a game you play with friends. Playing by yourself isn't nearly as fun. And so what I'll do is I'll find a group of 4, and then we play through it. We have a good time, and then someone's like, "Oh, I can't do next week. I can't do that week." And then like the team falls apart, and you go, "Oh, what a great game. I should play that soon." And then you forget about it.
Maybe that's where AI can be good. Maybe we can get Chat GPT to be my friend to play co-op when I don't have a friend.
I like it. That's a good idea.
Sorry.
No. Let's see here.
My gamer slave. Sorry.
No.
Better gamer slave than something.
Beard Blade is a game that I've been meaning to revisit. For those of you guys who don't know, Beard Blade is an indie game made by a very small team. I feel bad for the devs over at Beard Blade because the character looks like me. And like very so similar that the internet thought that I was making this game, and they were mad that I was being dishonest that I was making this game when actually it had nothing to do with it. It's very much like a action platformer. It feels like a hybrid between Wario Land and Yoshi's Island, where you like kind of throw things at enemies and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that one.
Kick-ass soundtrack. And then finally, for my last game, I feel like there's got to be a AAA game that everyone's probably... I think it's probably gonna end up being Baldur's Gate 3, but I feel like that can just go into the ocean. I'm not touching that for a long time. If I had to pick between Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 for games I'm gonna play this year, I'm gonna go for Starfield and put Baldur's Gate 3 in the back burner.
Sure.
Also, that's all everyone's playing. That's all everyone's ever playing. Yeah, like if I'm gonna go on Twitch right now, and all people everyone's playing Baldur's Gate 3. thousands of people watching Baldur's Gate 3.
Finally, they're playing good games on Twitch. It's finally happened.
They did it, gamers.
It's
They did it.
unbelievable. Yeah, it's very good.
Well, let's move on. All right, next let's run down some stuff this week that's been releasing. First is Wayfinder, which of course we spoke about the game a lot last week.
Yeah,
Ralph, how's the launch going?
Well, okay. So first of all, I should say I have not played it. Okay. But I had said to Austin, I'm like, Austin, I really want you to play this because, and Austin had expressed interest in it himself as well. Just anyone who doesn't know, Austin is my editor, and he's now also reviewing games on the Skill Up channel. He is a bit of an MMO fiend, so he was already kind of really into this, and he's like, yeah, totally. He loves his Guild Wars and Final Fantasy and Destiny, like live service. He's in on it, right? And so I'm like, cool, man, I'm going to give you a week to play Wayfinder, and you're going to do the whole review and give us the really detailed, definitive update on like what this game is, how it works, what it's like in the live environment after the early access launch, whatever. At this point, the game has been out since last Friday after being delayed a few days, by the way. It was meant to come out last Tuesday. Came out last Friday, so it's been out for just under a week. He still has not been able to properly log into the game to play because of how balked the servers are and how broken it is overall. Like, still to this day, he still cannot get in and get a reliable connection.
Damn.
Every single issue that you can imagine when it comes to a server-based game, it's happened. Servers just completely melting under the weight of players logging in, players being dumped into massive queues that stretch for hours, and then when they get to the front of those queues, they just get disconnected. Being in the game, you complete objectives, it just gets randomly disconnected. There were also issues with founders. Like, if you have to buy a founder pack to get into this. Later on, it's free to play, but those people who bought stuff are not getting those items that they were promised. There's just like, they've had to put server caps on to like keep it running, and then people just get turned away at the gates. They're like, nah, man, servers are full, bad luck, see you later. And then people are like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, should I come back later, or should I just fucking uninstall this and not bother, get a refund, right? So Digital Extremes are providing the infrastructure for this, and they have apologized for what's going on. Airship Syndicate, the developer, have also apologized for, their part in it, what have you. It's very sad, man, because obviously we spoke to that team, and they were really building up to this, and they're passionate, and they're ready to go, and they're excited, and they felt ready. Like, they had a quiet confidence about them that they were like, yeah, man, we're ready to go. Let's go. Unfortunately, it turns out it's just one of the worst, most rocky live service launches in a hot minute, and the game is overwhelmingly negative on Steam. As a result, it's like 30% positive or whatever. I mean, it's not Overwatch too bad, but it's pretty bad when it comes to that Steam rating. So yeah, very sad result for that team. Austin is still trying to get that review done, but it's unlikely it's going to happen anytime soon because of these issues. So yeah,
it's a shame. We also have releasing this week Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew, which I haven't played, but just shout out to a viewer of my videos, listener of this podcast, who I met and had a conversation with in real life, who specifically mentioned this game to me, and I hadn't heard of it, and I wrote it down, and I'm looking forward to playing it. Also, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the asymmetrical multiplayer game, released this week. Friend of the show, horror YouTuber guy Jimmy Champagne, says it's cool and he likes horror movies, so take that. Also, we have Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. I always mess this up. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Yeah. Have either of you guys gotten to jump into this? I downloaded it.
No,
I'm ready for it.
Same. I'm so excited for it. I am actually going to LA in September. We will do an in-person episode, by the way, so look forward to that, people. But that is actually one I've got installed on my Steam Deck, ready to go for the plane ride, because I'm like super keen for that. It looks fantastic. Big Jet Set Radio fan from back in the day, and it seems like that they just made a sequel without getting the rights to it. It was very cheeky. They're like, let's just do it. If Sega aren't gonna do it, I guess we'll do it ourselves. That kind of thing.
Love to see it.
Yeah. Totally.
Also, Immortals of Aveum, which we'll talk about in a minute. Also worth noting, though, Armored Core 6 is dropping, which if you're watching this is probably out, or reviews are out. And Sea of Stars on the 29th. Gerard, do you have plans to make a video on that?
I do. We by the embargo, we're not allowed to talk about Sea of Stars. Not yet.
It's a Gerard-ass game right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it is the most. It is the most Gerard-ass game on planet Earth, my friends. And I cannot wait. I just got confirmation. If you want me to, and we can cut this if you want, Ralph. But the director of Sea of Stars, Terry, has agreed to join us on the podcast.
Cool.
So we will
have
to
cut that. Leave it in. Let's just let so people know to
world
expect
premiere,
it. Interview
baby.
with that.
Now
next episode. Next episode, he's coming on by to talk about Sea of Stars.
That's great.
Terry is such a kick-ass guy. I can't wait for you guys to meet him. He's just fun and full of energy, and you could tell that he had a great time making this game. Really excited about it. But also just overall, Sea of Stars, just so pumped for everyone to play it. It's going to be so good.
Nice.
That's going to be cool.
Very cool.
All right. Well, in terms of things played, Immortals of Aveum. Ralph, you and I both played it, put out videos. I have another video in the works about it on my channel too.
Okay.
It's good. It's
It's like it's so dumb. Totally, but it's so hard. Like, because I think this is the thing, right? If you were to come at me and say this game sucks, I'd be like, yeah, all right, fair enough. Like, that's cool. Fair enough. I get how you think this sucks. I'm not going to put up much of a fight. I'm not going to be like, no, actually, this game rules. And like, it's like, I think it's interesting because, you know, obviously I put out a review and I'm like, I recommend this. And I'm like, it's not particularly good, but it's fun enough. You know, it's silly and dumb and it's kind of easy and forgetful, but it's just nice to play in between all of the other big things that you play. And then a lot of people get angry at that and they're like, I can't believe you recommend this. This is garbage. And I'm like, it's not garbage. It's just like, it's a really silly, fun game that I'm sure a lot of people won't like, but it's not like the worst thing ever. It's not the kind of game that I think people should be getting angry at. And I've definitely seen quite a few people get angry at this game. I think there are lots of other way shittier games that you should get angry at. I do not believe Immortals of Aveum falls into that category. It is like 12 to 15 hours, single player, offline, no microtransactions. It's very bug free, as in very few bugs.
It's a game-ass game.
Yeah, but the performance side of it is trash. Like, it's on low-end hardware. The optimization at the low end is very bad, and I totally understand that. I get that, and I agree. But the other challenge with that is that I don't fully understand how demanding Unreal Engine 5 is. And we are now moving to Unreal Engine 5. I'm not sure if this is a case of bad development optimization, or is it a case of, well, Unreal Engine 5 just needs a lot more power than what, you know, a 20 series GPU is able to provide. And so now we all need to step up. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle, but regardless, yes, it's very important that you do not buy this video game if you have a 20 series or below GPU, which is not a shitty GPU, by the way. It's still a pretty chunky GPU.
Yeah.
You really need a 30 series or 40 series to properly play this. However, the console versions actually work pretty well, and that's probably the best way to enjoy this. So
yeah, I played on PS5 and it was fine.
Yeah. So what do you think overall, though? Tell me, like, what's the high level? What's your take?
Yeah, I didn't watch your video, but like I've hung out with you enough now that like I can kind of just. We're probably on the same page. It's just a adventure. It's like a popcorn adventure. I just kind of want to like, I don't want to say turn my brain off because that's not really the right phrase for this, but I like it's kind of almost what I wanted the combat from Ghostwire Tokyo to be, where I just wanted to blow shit up with my hands. And so this is made from a team that has worked on Call of Duty games and stuff like that. And it's very much got a little bit of like Call of Duty campaign energy where it's cinematic, it's paced, there's set pieces, crazy shit happens, the cutscene graphics are like over the top, and I just liked playing through it. Again, and you say like people get mad at you for recommending it, and for me, I think people get mad at me because they think I'm assuming play this 12-hour game right now for $70, and everybody's different. A lot of people aren't going to want to do that, and that's fine. I'm saying,
I agree.
Keep this on your list for at some point. If you have downtime and you do want a quick adventure, it reminds me of like games we would play in the like the 2010s, Bulletstorm,
Yeah.
Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, just like shit like that. It's just like an adventure. It's a straightforward adventure. It's also new IP. This game addresses a lot of people's complaints. Why are they just making sequels? Why are they just remaking things? Why is every game always online? Why do they have microtransactions? This is just a game. Is it flawed?
Yes.
Yeah. But it was a good time. I like the main character.
I agree.
He's kind of cool. He's a cutie. You know? Let's get him on the pod.
Let's get him on the pod, sure.
But
no, I agree with
Gina
you.
Torres kicks ass too. There's
totally.
so much gobbledygook video game lore here where it all just sounds like a guy like, yeah, and then there's this world and a portal and it's just you get lost in the whatever. But the moment to moment stuff with the characters and the general core bit of the story, you want to see through, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you completely. And I said the same thing. It was actually kind of like the main thrust of my review, which is that this is just a silly little side quest in between your other more serious gaming endeavors. Like you're going to be playing big stuff this year that's hard and long and like, you know, just swinging for the fences and Game of the Year nominees left, right, and center. Sometimes you just want to have a bit of popcorn cinema. You just want to sit back and, you know, watch a dumb MCU film. This is that. It's an MCU film, but playable. And you know, there are worse things than that. And I like that it's that. And I like that EA put their money behind it because EA is, you know, it's EA, but they have legitimately just backed this weird, out of the box, very odd new IP.
From a new studio.
Probably from a new studio. I mean, there's nothing surefire about this bet. This is not your typical EA game, but they put their money behind it. And I got to respect it. You know, I really do. So, yeah, I think it's very, and I think that's what I think when it comes down to that word recommend as well, or scores and what have you, you know, the idea that we recommend a game doesn't necessarily mean that, yeah, you should buy it right now at full price and play it immediately. It just means that there's a game that exists. Is it good or is it bad? Personally, I think it's pretty good. And would I recommend it to you? Yeah, when it hits that right price point, when it hits the right time in your schedule. Because right now we're all too busy to play, you know, like we're all busy playing stuff. But for me, I think one of the reasons that this hit so well was because it arrived at a moment where I was so consumed by these big things. Having this little discrete adventure was perfect, you know? And I think that it's nice to have those sorts of games in your backlog, and this will get discounted. It's even on the subscription service right now for EA, plus it'll be on Game Pass eventually because every EA game ends up on Game Pass. That's how it works. They have a partnership in place. So there's going to be a time and a price point where I suspect this is going to be right for you. Whether or not you like it, it depends, because there's lots of things that people might not like about it, particularly the humor, which I think we might come back to, Jake. But yeah, overall, there's plenty of stuff here that I do think works well enough, you know? So what did you think of the gags, man? Was it too much for you? Were you on board with the gags or what?
Some of them made me laugh. I didn't hate it as much as like I knew what they were doing. Like I'm like, I know what this is. Like it didn't bother me as much as other recent games like Forspoken. Like it didn't bother me like that. It had some lines like it had like, they fly now, or like
he's behind me, isn't he?
He's behind me, isn't he? Yeah, I put that in there.
And when that happened, I was like, there's no way you just did he's behind me, isn't he? Like, no way you did that unironically. But I think, I think part of it was ironic. Those lines are in there in a very deliberate sort of sense to almost gesture towards what they're going for. So yeah,
it's back and forth. Like especially because it's rated M. At least there's like some F-bombs that actually land.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good drinking scene,
true.
like a drunk friend scene.
Yeah, that's right.
What I was gonna say is that isn't like Hi-Fi Rush, right? Like you look at that game and you're like, yo, this is that kind of fun, jovial, like chaos incarnate kind of vibe, and you kind of expect those one-liners. Does the game kind of exuberate that, or is it just like it looks like a AAA big shooty game kind of vibe, and also there are jokes?
Yeah, that.
I would say Hi-Fi Rush is like a really smartly written Saturday morning cartoon.
Sure.
It's a cartoon that was clearly written by adults for an adult audience, but it's channeling a lot of that Saturday morning vibe. Versus this is very much like, we are going to do the whole MCU humor thing, and we're just going to lean into it unashamedly. And I guess I respect them for that because they didn't they didn't lean back from their jokes. They didn't kind of like, well, we'll do it, but we'll also make it sound like we're a bit ashamed of it, or we want to give the player the chance to look down on it. Like they fully committed to their gags and their tone and their characters, and that's what sort of carried it for me. I didn't like it particularly. I wasn't like, oh, I love this, but it was like, look, there are some things here I enjoy. Overall, this is fine. It was light.
It was levity.
It was light. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And I think that's sort of the overall thing of the game, right? The exploration. There's not much to it. Some light puzzles, but yeah, it's light. And then the combat. There's not much to that combat either. Even though the controls, I don't know what you think about this, Jake, but the controls were so stacked with so many fucking abilities and things.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Oh man, it was too much. But even though the controls are really stacked, combat itself is actually really light because the enemies don't really ask much of you. It's a very easy game to play. And similarly, when it comes to the story, it's big world-ending stuff, but they're keeping it light with the jokes. And so the whole thing just kind of lands in that territory where you're like, yeah, whatever, sure. It's very easy to shit on it and pull things apart. And if you really wanted to do that, you can absolutely deconstruct this game and argue persuasively that it is trash. Okay, sure, absolutely. But I think as well, if you just kind of like suspend and look at the overall package and its composition and pacing, you're just like, it's fine. It's good enough. You know what I mean? And that's why I ended up enjoying it personally.
Some people out there will only drive a Corvette or a Cadillac or a Mercedes, a high-end Mercedes. But there are so many other cars on the road that work and they get you to where you need to go.
Hyundais and whatever. I don't know.
Is Daewoo still a thing?
Daewoo. Yeah, we have Daewoos. All those we have Great Wall, I think, is a new car brand that we have in Australia. It's like a Chinese car. I think it's called Great Wall. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't pay attention to cars.
Yeah,
Great Wall cars. Is that a thing? Am I making that up?
That sounds
No, it's a thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
I think maybe I'm making
Immortals
it up.
is fun. I like the combat. I actually was surprised how much I like the skill tree because it's just a regular old skill tree where everything I was excited to actually dump a point into. I was like, oh, I need more armor. Oh, I need another blink dash. But I will say that's one of my big complaints with the combat is I like blasting. I thought the feedback was mostly pretty good on a controller, but I actually wish it played more like Doom or like Hexen. Like this game needs a bunny hop and it needs a more generous dash. Like it's a little more grounded than I think it needs to be.
I get you. Yeah. I would agree with that. I think if it had focused more on the fundamentals of its ability suite rather than adding in 6 castable spells, 4 castable abilities, fucking, an ultimate, there's so much shit. And I agree with you. If they focus more on core mechanics rather than new stuff, I think it would have been a better product, for sure.
That ultimate is really satisfying though, because there's a type of mid boss that you can down after you knock a certain bit of it, and then their head is exposed and you just ultimate fuck you into their head until they die. It's very satisfying.
Yep, it is good.
Yeah, so it's a game. Don't write it off. If you don't like that humor, if that turns you off, fine, dude. But yeah, this is an Immortals fan podcast now.
It is. We're gonna get the guy let's get Gina Torres on the podcast, man. That'll be
Sandrak on the podcast.
Let's get him on the pod.
Sandrak actually crushed it as well with his delivery. He was great. So yeah.
You've played other things though.
Yeah, I have actually. It's been a big week actually in terms of previews. I will have up later this week previews for Lords of the Fallen, which I played. And I was impressed by it actually. I won't say too much of it now. I'll save the most of the commentary for the preview, but it's kind of like Soul Reaver in that they've got this dual world mechanic kicking in. Yeah, I know, right? I didn't really understand this fully because I'd seen some trailers, but I wasn't paying close enough attention. But it's got this dual world mechanic where you're carrying around a lantern. At any time, you can raise this lantern and it shows you the Umbral Realm, which is the same space that you're in now, but it's the dimension of the dead. And at any time, you can then basically kill yourself and transition into this land of the dead. It opens up new pathways, just like Soul Reaver. If there's a body of water in front of you in the land of the living, you can't walk through it. But if you are dead, there is no water in the Umbral Realm, so you can walk straight through it. And I'm like, bitch, this is Soul Reaver. I am so in on this. Man. Hell yes. So I was like, that's cool. The visuals are unbelievable. It's Unreal Engine 5 and it looks nuts. But it's using it well, because I think one of the other things we didn't talk about with Aveum is that it's Unreal Engine 5 and it's really pretty, but it kind of looks not very good, because it hasn't got good art direction, right? But this has really excellent art direction. It looks stunning at all times. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what else they've got coming when it comes to the world stuff. And the combat side of it was the part that I was less keen on, but I'm really reluctant to prejudge it because I played such a small slice of it. One character, one weapon, just the first few bosses. But the fundamental foundations of it didn't feel as strong as, FromSoft games or Neo from Team Ninja or even The Surge from Deck 13. But it felt good enough. I was like, cool, all right. This is probably not the part I'm going to love the most. I'll probably enjoy the world stuff more. But I was very much like, yeah, cool. That's combat. It's there. It's Souls-like. It's hard-ish. And yeah. So my preview will be up later this week, and I am excited to talk more about it. It looks
how hard would you say cool. It is? Because I'm tired.
Much easier than I found it. Again, in the opening block, much easier than your average FromSoft game. Much easier than The Surge. Much easier. Yeah, there's the core combat doesn't seem as difficult. You have more tools at your disposal, and also there's summonable NPCs on every boss that you can invite them in to help you. The general tuning just seems easier, but that could change the very next minute of this. This demo ends, and it could be ridiculously hard. I don't know, but if this kind of difficulty holds throughout the rest of the game, I do anticipate it'll be a lot easier than your average Souls-like. So yeah, that was cool. The other thing I played actually was Space Marine 2. I got sent a preview build for that because it's hands-on at Gamescom right now, and so the publisher sent me that build so I can play from my own home. Got to play an hour and a half of it, and I'm here to tell you, it's fucking cool, man. It is fucking cool. It is so good looking. Oh my god, just seeing these massive battlefields just teeming with enemies. I'm talking hundreds of enemies on screen crawling up the walls, and you were throwing down grenades to try to stop them from crawling up there. You're standing up there with a big heavy bolt gun, and you're just bop, 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 bop. It's fucking awesome, man. I loved it. And all the the Space Marines are just calling each other brother. Yes, brother. Of course, brother. The Emperor provides. All this sort of shit, and they're just so into it. I loved it, man. I really did. It's very simple so far. It's a co-op horde shooter, essentially. It's up to 3 players. You're going through and you're just shooting lots of bad guys, and you play as the Space Marines, which means you're basically immortal, but you're not really actually. And I actually found it quite tricky. I played on the 3rd out of 4 difficulties, and I died. I for sure died. And I was like, I need to pay attention to not getting overwhelmed and positioning correctly, dodging out of the way of stuff, parrying enemies, managing my ammo. It was definitely not mindless. But it still retained that power fantasy. Whereas if I'm playing properly, then I feel like a fucking Space Marine. You know what I mean? So, but the overall, it was great fun. But the visual stuff, I think, is going to blow people away. I really was not ready for just how good it looks. And again, it's not necessarily about the technical details, like the Unreal Engine 5 thing, for example. This is about the fact that it's this incredible realization of Warhammer 40k and the size of these battlefields. You imagine them as you read them in the books, how that works and what that looks like. Warhammer battles are these massive battles of attrition involving, thousands or millions of troops. This really captures that feeling super well. In a way, in a stark contrast to something like Darktide, where Darktide has these teeming hordes, but it's always in smaller areas, or typically quite small, more narrow areas. And that works brilliantly as well. But this is, what if you just had that on a massive battlefield and it was all actual shootable enemies rather than just hitbox, skybox stuff, So yeah.
I love that. I'm
cool,
glad it
man.
actually sounds like it's as cool as it looks.
Yeah, I think so. I think it will be. I mean, again, I only played an hour and a half. There's still no release date for it yet. It's definitely not coming this year. A lot of work to go on optimization, for example. Didn't run well. But again, I don't really care about optimization at this point. If we're so far away from release, that comes later. But had such a good time with it. I was really bummed when the demo ended, to be honest.
They're trying really hard to get me into this stuff because I like
Yeah.
I like Space Marine. I'm excited for Space Marine 2, and Bolt Gun was really awesome. So like, I'm
Yeah.
starting to have an idea of like what's going on a little bit.
Yeah. It's a real rabbit hole once you get into it. And I've read a couple of books and obviously played a couple of the games now. I've played more games than I've read books, but I really love stepping into the world whenever I get the chance. And I'm glad that we're seeing more Warhammer stuff and high quality Warhammer stuff as well, because Dark Tide obviously had a lot of issues, but they had a lot of ambition. And I think eventually one day they'll get there. They've just announced an overhaul of their perk system. In fact, Bolt Gun was fantastic. I'm forgetting a very obvious one. Oh, there's this obviously, but even what was it called? There's Rogue Trader. That's right. That's one that's coming. Like CRPG kind of stuff. Lots of exciting things happening in the Warhammer space. So it's cool to see so much effort go into that franchise.
I'm more of an Animorphs guy, but that's fine.
Fair. It's very fair. Very fair.
I got to preview a game called Cygni. This is a kind of a shmup, a shoot 'em up, if you will. It doesn't have a release date yet, and it was still very much a work in progress. But it's Konami published. It's essentially from a smaller indie studio from Scotland, but Konami is publishing it because they've been getting more into indies, and also this is kind of like a Konami game if you think about Konami's like classic legacy before they pissed everybody off. So this is a shmup where you're not just shooting what's in front of you and dodging hordes of small ships. You can also simultaneously aim and fire at things on the ground, which sounds very complicated, and it seems like it is with how they were able to get the plane, because it's like 2-dimensional, but you're looking down at a ground that's also like 3D. So it's complicated, but it's cool because it's like it's got that shmup crazy style, but you're also constantly managing and filling your shields on one trigger or powering up your weapons on another trigger to get access to higher firepower, different rates, rockets, and it's very fast and twitchy. So you're just constantly doing that. You're like, bah, 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 bah. So it seems like it's pretty cool. It's just a couple of levels, and it's all about just like tight, crazy, challenging with like a boss at the end. It's got an orchestral score. It's like very over the top. And like graphically, it's surprisingly awesome. And like there are like cutscenes where like the little girl on her ship flies in and she looks out the window and then she flies down and then you're a small ship and it's right into the level. Really cool. I can't like call final judgment on it, but just like, playing it for a good 45 minutes or so, it just seemed cool, especially if you like those types of games. I know they're for an acquired taste, but if you're listening, you might be that taste. So it wasn't on my radar at all. So that's why I just wanted to mention it. Again, no release date, but it's Cygni. It's like CYGNI.
CYGNI. Okay. I looked it up on Steam. I couldn't find it on Steam. Is it not coming to Steam or what? It's CYGNI.
Yeah.
I see Cygni, all guns blazing.
Yep.
Cool. Nice. I found it. Sorry, I had an S. So yeah, cool. All right, sweet. It's I like the visuals. They look nice.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Again, it's still got some ways to go, so no final judgment on it yet, but it's got some cool ideas to it.
I've added it to my wish list.
There we go.
It's on the list.
It's very interesting for sure.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. It's time to feel old with This Week in the Wayback. Time to get your old bones out. Get your walkers, everyone. Get your pacemakers. Come on, everyone. Let's feel old together.
It's great.
I will go first. This game is amazing for the time. It revolutionized a genre, and more importantly, it made James Bond really cool on the N64. Ladies and gentlemen, GoldenEye 007 released in 1997, 27 years ago, my friends.
Round of applause in the chat.
It is true. Sorry, I said 27. It's actually 26 years, but still pretty rough. That came out on August 23rd, I am lucky and honored to say that I know a lot of the developers who've worked on that game. One David Doak, Dr. Doak from the game, if you remember, is a good friend of mine. Just one of the nicest guys on planet Earth, and you can tell that when he talks about GoldenEye till this day. That, and he also worked on Time Splitters. That's his game too. He loves those games. He's passionate about them, and they're great, man. They're so fun. I can't believe that they got re-released on the Nintendo Switch and Xbox stores. That's insane to kind of say, considering the licensing issues attached to it all. But totally. Yeah, man, 26 years ago, GoldenEye 007 on the N64. Jake, what's your game this week?
I got a weird pick. It's the original Mafia, released on PC 21 years ago in 2002.
No way, that long.
This was back when we were playing weird, busted 3D PC games like the original Hitman, Silent Assassin, and Mafia.
Yeah.
Mafia was janky as hell, but at the time, it was like, this is so realistic. You drive this old shitty car, you have to stop at stoplights where the cops will pull you over. It was like revolutionary. We were so excited. It had a really great score that still holds up to this day for the most part. And it actually tried to tell like a good, interesting story. It was incredibly challenging though. The shooting was rough. There was that race car mission, that infamous race car mission that was like near impossible. But it was cool because it was different. It wasn't Grand Theft Auto. It wasn't, it was something, and like it eventually made its way to some consoles, and that's how I got my hands on it and finished it, because I never finished the PC version. It's cool. I like that game. It really felt like it loved those Mafia movies and did it justice.
Yeah.
Also, the remake is dope.
Yeah, I actually booted up the remake. I haven't played through it all, but I booted it up and I was like, wow, this looks fantastic. It's just looked so good. It really, the whole classic mafioso cinema thing, that vibe, it just really captured that super well.
The city they built too is a real looker.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I was like, I was very impressed by that. I would definitely want to play more. I'd like to come back to that one day. I think that would be sick to play through that.
You should. It's another good quick playthrough.
Is it quick? Is it?
Not quick, but it's
but like
it's
quick-ish.
not like an open world padded thing.
I need to play it. That's also my backlog, because my girlfriend was obsessed with the sequels, but I just never played. I never got around to them.
Sure.
Ralph, what about you?
16 years ago today, BioShock released, which on PC and Xbox 360, which, I mean, BioShock, man, this is in terms of
the first one.
The first one, yes, of course. Yeah, man. I mean, it's BioShock to this day still left its mark in the industry, and in terms of like, cinematic style, not immersive sims, not an immersive sim, but it's like immersive sim adjacent. Just very atmospheric, thought-provoking first-person shooter that was trying to say things, and was a mix of horror and some puzzle-solving, exploration, cool action. Just a real instant classic. And and obviously we got 2 more after that, and then Ken Levine just went totally silent forever. And it basically wound up his studio that made that game, essentially, because he was like, I don't want to do the AAA thing anymore. And so just left, and then he's gone on to create what is essentially a new AAA studio and a new AAA product in, was it called The Lies of Judas? Is it The Lies? What's it called again?
Is it just called Judas? Judas.
It's just called Judas, right. Lies of P, I'm thinking. I'm sorry, I just combined this for some reason. But yeah, man, BioShock, very so. And I actually really liked BioShock Infinite, can I say? A lot of people really shit on that. They're like, that game sucks. And I was like, no, I think that was a good video game. Not as powerful as BioShock, obviously, thematically or whatever, but the spectacle of it was nuts. Songbird and whatever, it was just crazy. So yeah, man, I'm very glad to have played BioShock back at launch. It was a good time.
Weird special game. I remember being like excited, like the marketing was cool too, like just like the Bobby Darin song, like Beyond the Sea, was like the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
and the
sure.
Cinematic trailer that they would put on TV was crazy because it was like this guy had bees coming out of his hand and like a big sea monster threw him off a balcony and then he shot lightning and you're like, what the hell is that game? Why is this guy killing a little girl? Like it was so weird and different. Still to this day, the Big Daddy, what an enemy. So iconic, terrifying. I still remember seeing him for the first time he appears. It's just like, god damn, man. That was up there with Pyramid Head for some of the best, scariest fucking enemy design of all time. So yeah, amazing.
So before we wrap this up, I got to ask you guys, because I got criticized online for it. And while New Game Plus, the series, is coming to an end on my channel, I am going to keep it open for re-reviews of games that I'm not happy with, like the final product of the video. BioShock 2. What's your guys' vibes regarding BioShock 2?
Honestly, I can't remember it that well. I remember 1 and 3 and like Infinite very vividly, but 2 I kind of just played, and I think I wasn't back then I wasn't like critically thinking about games, so it left very little impression of me. So I'm interested to hear what you might think about that when you go back and replay it, actually.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was like a revolution. Like some people are like, it's so underrated, it's incredible. I just played it and I was like, cool, more BioShock. I also really like the book. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but there's a book that's kind of just details backstory before the fall of Rapture, and it's cool.
It's just like a libertarian handbook, you know? It's like, taxation is theft, don't you think? You're like, and Jake's like, yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. Finally, someone said
brother.
it.
I read the BioShock book.
That's right.
Yeah, typically speaking, one of my former writers, Brett, he is very great at articulating how I feel and how he feels and how we both agree on things. And we'll sometimes make statements that like are really interesting and fascinating and propose questions. And people listen to those statements and go, I don't understand that statement, but it sounds like you fucking hated it, so shut up. Like, instead of like listening to the... Yeah, well, like for instance, like Resident Evil Village. I loved Village. I made a whole video about how I loved Village. But in the video, I was like, hey, when I thought Village would be like a Metroidvania, wouldn't that be sick if it was a Metroidvania? And people were like, shut up, it's not a Metroidvania. Stop complaining. Like, stop making it something you don't want it to be. And I was like, okay, so many comments were like that. Then I realized, oh, it's all about... I did a poor job framing my opinion and framing my piece, so it warrants a secondary approach. Because when it's like when it's one or two people popping off, you're like, okay, yeah, haters, right, whatever. But when everyone is saying that kind of stuff, you're like, okay, I probably should take a secondary look at how I framed things. And sure enough, my BioShock 2 video is very similar in that vein. So I want to revisit it because I feel like it's like Final Fantasy 13 in a way where like it's starting to have its resurgence of fan support. But anyways, enough of this tangent. That was this week in the way back. Back to you, Jake.
Oh boy, this is the end of the show. Podcast.
We're here.
Whether you're watching on YouTube, on SkillUp's channel, or you're listening on the various podcast platforms, thank you very much for being here, for choosing us to yap about games. You had a lot of choices, so thank you. If you want to send us questions, which we love answering, contact@friendspersecond.com. Be a user. Join the club.
Be a user. That's good. Put that on.
Yo, that's our first shirt. That's our first short. That's our first shirt is be a user or I am a user.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Jake Baldino. My YouTube channel, Jake Baldino. Gerard, where can the people find you?
YouTube.com/ThatOneVideoGamer. Everything else, The Completionist or at Completionist. This week, my video on WrestleQuest comes out. I'm gonna be honest. YouTube's algorithms have not been liking me lately. So if you want to check out my stuff,
that's a tough game,
dude. A lot of the games that I've picked have been really tough.
That's what's good about you though. Like you're making stuff that matters.
I'm like a boomerang. You know? I'm like a boomerang. I throw it out there, no one watches it at first, but then like week 2, week 3, week 4, suddenly people are like, I'll get around to it. Up. Yeah,
I agree. It's good like evergreen content. You know, there's not gonna be many good videos made about WrestleQuest, for example.
Yeah.
But, you know, you made one, and so that's cool. It'll be there forever, and people want to know what that game is. They can watch it. That's what I watch a lot of your content for. If I haven't played something or I can't remember what it was like to play something, your videos are really good because they kind of like make you fully understand what it's like to play through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's good.
Thank you, Ralph. That's the best compliment I'll ever get. Thank you very much.
Gonna be honest, I never heard of you.
I get that a
Cold-blooded
lot.
Jake. That's what Jake's known for, being an asshole. He's the resident asshole on the channel,
That's
right,
me,
Jake?
typical.
That's
Yeah.
you.
The
That's right.
biggest one.
He is from New York, so that's how it goes.
Ah,
there.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what you
forget about
Required.
it.
It's required.
Yeah. Ralph, what about you?
I'm here and on Twitter very infrequently, and yeah, that's it really. Just doing my thing. Lots of content going up in the channel in the next little while though, previews and reviews and stuff. So very excited to round out September. It's round out August into September.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. Maybe next time I'll be out of this hostage video looking situation
I love it.
on the video version. But regardless, tie your shoes and go to bed.